more by 15 points in that poll. Bernie Sanders gets 53 to Donald Trump's 38. Bernie Sanders stressed his electability in an interview with Chris Hayes tonight.
All right, Senator Sanders, let me start with this. There was another example this weekend of some really upsetting violence at a Trump rally. A Trump supporter beating up a protester. He was arrested. And this comes in the wake of a lot of protests, the roadblock to an event. There are some commentators who are saying, as responsible as Donald Trump is for what is happening in his rallies, that the protest efforts now at those rallies, the disruptions, the blockages, are essentially playing into his hand. What do you think of that?
Well, look, I think, that Trump has been incredibly divisive. I think he has insulted almost every group in America. I think his policies are outrageous, but in America, people have a right to hold rallies. So I think my own feeling is it is absolutely appropriate for thousands of people to protest at a Trump rally, but I am not a great fan of disrupting rallies. So people want to be outside. They want to talk about his attacks on Mexicans, his outrageous attacks on Muslims, on women, on African Americans. That is absolutely appropriate. But I think in some ways you're right. I think it plays into Trump's hands. It's counterproductive. Protests, yes. Disruptions, no.
That is not the answer I would have expected from you.
Why not? I don't believe, people have a right to give a speech. And people have a right to protest. But I'm not a great fan of disrupting people's speeches.
There was an article, I believe it was in Politico, about Democratic senators talking about you and Hillary Clinton and your respective campaigns. And basically, I think, urging you to enter a phase of your campaign, not to stop campaigning, but essentially to target Donald Trump as opposed to Hillary Clinton, because they believe or claim that you don't have a clear path to nomination and you were damaging or potentially damaging Hillary Clinton. I wanted to get your response to that.
Well, let me respond in a couple of ways. We do have a path to victory. Secretary Clinton has done very, very well in the Deep South and the states that have had elections there. We're now out of the Deep South. We're heading west. We think we have an excellent chance to win in Washington State, in the state of California, in Oregon. We think we're going to do well this week. In Utah, we think we're going to do well. In Arizona, we're right now here in Boise, Idaho. We got 6,000 people. Next door, we had 14,000 people out a few days ago in Salt Lake City. Most importantly, to me, Chris, is in almost all of the exit polls, we are winning the people 45 or 50 and younger. The future of the Democratic Party is with us. People are tired of establishment politics and establishment economics. People want the United States to join the rest of the industrialized world with a national health program, Medicare for all. People believe fervently that in the year 2016, we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free. We've got to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. These are the ideas that are generating enthusiasm. So, of course, I am taking on Donald Trump. And in fact, by the way, I am very proud that in almost every national poll, we are running much stronger against Trump than Clinton is. Last NBC poll, I think, had us 18 points up. Clinton was 13 points up. If you can believe it, in the state of Utah, which has not voted for a Democrat in 50 years, we were beating Trump by 11 points, Hillary Clinton by 2 points. And I think one of the points that many people are seeing all over this country is Bernie Sanders is, in fact, the strongest candidate against Donald Trump.
You are nothing if not consistent. You've been remarkably consistent on a whole set of principles since you really entered public life, particularly since you entered Congress. I think that consistency is a large part of your appeal. People don't think you're making up this position about banks or, money in politics just because you think it'll work. You really believe it. Are there things that you've changed your mind on about politics since you got into Congress, or even since you started campaigning? Are there things where you've had a conversion or thought to yourself, I was wrong about that in your time as a politician?
Well, let me just say this. To be honest with you, what I fervently wish is we had more time. Right now, I am speaking to you, and I can hear in the background a crowd of about 5,000 or 6,000 people in Boise, Idaho. We have 14,000 people out in Salt Lake City. What I think I underestimated is the degree to which we can, in fact, bring people together around a strong economic message. People will disagree. I am pro-choice. I am pro-gay marriage. I feel fervently about climate change. But I think there is even more opportunity than I had previously believed to bring people together around basic economic issues, ending this disastrous trade policies that have cost us millions of jobs, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I do believe that a majority of the American people want health care for all, etc. So I think if I had to do it over again, I would have put more emphasis on bringing working class people together to fight for a government that works for all of us, not just wealthy campaign contributors.
That's fascinating. So when you said you more time, I thought for a second you were talking about you and I, or before you had to go to the rally. What you're actually saying is the runway for the Bernie Sanders plane, that you wish that runway was longer, that you think that you found something here that if it was longer, you would be in a better position to take advantage of.
Look, I think two things. Number one, obviously, the Democrats need a 50-state strategy. I think with intelligent planning, cultivating good leadership in the South, and there is some right there, bringing blacks and whites together, Democrats can make huge advances in the South. I think in other parts of this country, whether it's Kansas or Utah or Idaho, I think it is insane for the Democrats to abdicate those states and that entire region. And I think if elected president and becoming leader of the Democratic Party, we're going to put resources in there. And I think we can bring people together. You can say, okay, you may disagree with me on gay marriage, okay? But you do need to see your kid go to college. You need to have a decent minimum wage. I think we can bring a whole lot of people together on those issues.
Coming up, more from Bernie Sanders on President Obama's historic trip to Cuba.